When we are coding in Python using Visual Studio Code as our preferred integrated development environment, IDE, we want our environment to not only be robust and flexible, but also smart and efficient. This includes having a responsive and accurate linting tool. Pylint is such tool. It helps keep our code clean and warns us of potential errors before we even run our code. However, there are instances when Pylint may raise an import error. Whether coming from our project not being a Python module, having an incorrect configuration, or encountering a false positive error, it can be a hurdle that disrupts our workflow. In this article, we will unravel the nature of Pylint import errors, familiarize ourselves with the VS Code environment, unravel various troubleshooting strategies, and get our hands dirty with practical examples and exercises. Pylint import error in Visual Studio VS Code is a commonly encountered issue among Python developers. This error arises when Pylint, an error checking and code styling tool for Python, can't find an imported module or package in your code. Essentially, it's a way of alerting you that something in your code isn't right, specifically with an import statement. This error is the result of the Python interpreter's inability to locate specific modules or packages that are referenced using the import command in your code. This could be due to several reasons such as incorrect setup of the Python environment, incorrect path setup in VS Code, or simply because the module/package being imported doesn't exist. The impact of this error on your code is significant. It stops your code from running, as Python needs to import all the necessary modules/packages before it can proceed with executing the code. This forces you to take immediate action to fix the error to proceed with your coding. Interestingly, not every Pylint import error that emerges in VS Code is legitimate. There are two types of import errors: legitimate import errors and false positive import errors. A legitimate import error occurs when there's truly an issue with your import statements. Maybe you've misspelled an imported module's name, or the module/package you're trying to import doesn't exist in your Python environment. In these cases, Pylint is correct to highlight these errors, and you would need to fix them to proceed with running your code. On the other hand, a false positive import error occurs when Pylint flags an error where there isn't one. This could happen if Pylint can't locate modules/packages that are installed in a different Python environment, even though VS Code can correctly run your Python script using that other Python interpreter. In such scenarios, it appears as an error in Pylint, but your code runs correctly in VS Code. To fix these issues, you need to ensure that Pylint and VS Code are using the same Python interpreter. Additionally, for legitimate errors, ensure that your import statements are correct and the necessary module/package exists in your Python environment. Regularly updating VS Code, Python, and Pylint to their latest versions can also help in minimizing these errors. Visual Studio Code, VS Code, has a user-friendly interface that makes its navigation straightforward for users of all skill levels. First, let's get familiar with its layout. Open up VS Code and look at the sidebar on the left, where you'll find 5 main icons: Explorer, Search, Source Control, Run, and Extensions. The Explorer allows you to manage your workspace, showing all the files and folders associated with your current project. Clicking on Search helps you find specific aspects in your coding project. Source Control handles software version control tasks. Run is for execution of your code, while Extensions manages VS Code plugins that add more functionality to your editor. Now, let's talk about the editor window in the center of the interface. Here's where you write and edit your code. You can open different files in new tabs within the editor window and navigate between them with ease. The status bar, at the bottom of the window, gives quick access to several settings and updates you on the status of your workspace. VS Code provides robust support for Python programming languages, making it a popular choice among Python developers. To set up Python, first ensure that Python is installed on your computer. Then, to ensure VS Code recognizes Python, click on the Extensions tab in the sidebar. It looks like 4 squares and 1 square is detached. Search for the official Python extension created by Microsoft, and install it. After installation, reload VS Code and the extension will be ready to use. Pylint is a Python source code analyzer that looks for programming errors, helps enforce a coding standard and sniffs for code smells. It includes features such as checking line code's length, checking if variable names are well formed according to your coding standard, checking if imported modules are used, among others. To use Pylint, you need to have it installed as a Python package. You can install it via pip through your terminal by running pip install Pylint. To configure Pylint in VS Code, follow these steps. Go to Preferences, in the Code menu on Mac OS, or the File menu on Windows/Linux. Go to Settings. In the Search Settings bar, write python.linting.pylint enabled and make sure the checkbox is turned on. Also, search for python.linting.enabled and make sure the checkbox is turned on as well. Sometimes Pylint might show an import error, often showing unable to import module. This is because Pylint doesn't know the path of the imported module. To fix this error, you need to add the workspace, root directory where your code resides, to Python path, an environment variable which is a list of directory. Here's how to do it. Open your settings. JSON file in VS Code. Add the following code to the file, python.env file $workspace folder/.env. In your workspace directory, create a env file. Add this line to the env file. Assume your workspace directory is /users/u/repo, Python path equals /users/u/repo. After setting this, reload VS Code. Now Pylint will be able to correctly import the modules and the import error will be resolved. The first step to fixing Pylint import error in VS Code is to ensure that Pylint is correctly installed. You can do this by opening the terminal in your VS Code and typing pip install Pylint. If Pylint was not correctly installed before, this command will install it for you. If it was already installed, this command will ensure that you have the latest version of Pylint. It's possible that Pylint import error could be due to using the wrong Python interpreter. To fix this, you need to specify the correct Python interpreter in VS Code. Navigate to the bottom left corner of your VS Code, click on the Python version, then you will see a list of Python interpreters. Choose the one appropriate for your project. Another common problem that could cause Pylint import errors is an incorrect path variable. You can correct it by opening your system's environment variables in the system settings and setting the path to include the Python and Pylint installation locations. If none of the above steps work, you might need to consider updating either Python or Pylint. This can be done using pip in the terminal. Use pip install upgrade Python to upgrade Python or pip install upgrade Pylint to upgrade Pylint. Pylint often gives unnecessary warnings which can create confusion. You can disable these warnings by creating a Pylint file in your project's root directory. Open the file and add the codes of the warnings you wish to disable under the disable metadata. Pylint offers the generate root file command that creates a Pylint file with default configurations. You can use this command to generate a template configuration file, and then modify it according to your project's needs. This can be really useful in setting up Pylint for more complex projects. Sometimes, files and directories are not correctly referenced in your code, causing Pylint to throw import errors. Make sure that all files and directories are correctly referenced in your project. Remember, Python is a case-sensitive language, meaning directory and directory would be treated as two different entities. Coding in an environment such as virtualenv or Conda can sometimes solve the import errors. These environments act as a sandbox for your Python project, allowing you to manage dependencies specific to the project without affecting the global Python installation. By following these steps, you should be able to fix Pylint import errors in VS Code. A Pylint import error in VS Code is often caused by Pylint not being able to locate your modules or packages. This frequently happens when working in a virtual environment. It can be identified by an underlined red error message stating unable to import module_name Pylint import error when you try to import a package or module. One of the most simple and common fixes for a Pylint import error in VS Code involves setting the correct Python interpreter. Here's how you can adjust your settings. Open the command palette by pressing Ctrl+Shift+P in VS Code. Type in Python, select Interpreter. From the drop-down list, locate and select your project's virtual environment. Sometimes, even after setting the correct interpreter, Pylint may still be unable to find your packages. In such cases, an effective solution can be updating the Python path in your settings. Here's how. Open the command palette again, Ctrl+Shift+P. Type Preferences, open User Settings. In the settings.json file that opens, add the following lines with your correct paths. Python.python path, path underscore to underscore your underscore Python, Python.linting.pylint path, path underscore to underscore your underscore Pylint. Remember to replace path underscore to underscore your underscore Python and path underscore to underscore your underscore Pylint with your actual paths. If none of the above solutions work, you might want to consider creating a Pylint file. This file can provide Pylint with more information about your project structure, aiding it to better locate your modules. Navigate to your project's root directory in your terminal. Type the command Pylint generate root file. Pylint to generate a new Pylint file. Open the Pylint file and add the following lines under the master section. Init hook equals import sys path. Append path underscore to underscore your underscore project underscore directory. Make sure to replace path underscore to underscore your underscore project underscore directory with your actual project directory. Remember to save changes and restart versus code to ensure the changes take effect. Through this enriching exploration, we've come to comprehend how crucial understanding and navigating through Pylint import errors can be. We have discovered how these errors occur, ways to differentiate between valid and false positive errors, and techniques to troubleshoot them. We have become familiar with the versus code environment and configured Pylint to suit our coding style and needs. Furthermore, we got to apply what we've learned through a range of practical examples and exercises. Just remember, as our coding skills grow and our projects become more complex, so might the issues we encounter. But armed with the right knowledge and tools, we can confidently deal with Pylint import errors, ensuring that our Python programming journey in versus code remains smooth and rewarding.